when I came first here, it was, for me, I really tried to understand what rest was for me. I really tried hard to get it, because I was always trying to get something, and I wanted to get it so much, because I knew what Candace said made perfect sense for me, but it was purely intellectual. And I tried so hard to get it, to understand what rest was. And it was just a month ago that I actually understood that there was nothing to understand from it. Because, like, the more I tried to understand, the less I could. And when I stopped trying to understand, I didn't need to understand anything anymore. Yeah. Rest is best.
Thank you very much. What a great birthday present you gave yourself. Huh?
Yeah.
Perception is always wide open and spacious. So, like Bach said, there's nothing to understand. There's nothing to get. It's just that for many of us, we've trained ourselves to focus on all the contents of complete perceptual openness and take those to be real, take those to be our frame of reference for who we take ourselves to be and who we take others to be. But all the while, just like space itself, perception is completely wide open, and it's never been contained anywhere. This morning I was drying my hair, and I noticed that the hair dryer takes air in the back, and then it does its thing, and the air warms up, and it comes out the other end, and it dries the hair. But if the back end is closed off, and the air doesn't just flow through, the whole thing overheats and explodes and melts down. And so that's kind of what happens when we force and train our perception to focus on points of view within the all-encompassing pure view of awareness, and take those points of view to be our frames of reference for who we are and what the world is. And in order to get acquainted with that perceptual openness, it doesn't require that we do anything. It doesn't require that we make any effort of any kind. If we just relax, completely relax our body and mind, that's it. And if we do that repeatedly, it's guaranteed that that will become automatic. So rather than perception being just closed in on individual points of view, our experience of that will be that perception is open and relaxed and spacious. And all the things that we hear about non-duality that are also points of view, like there is no doer, there is no experience, there is no one, all of these things. These are also just points of view. There's no point of view to take up about anything, not about non-duality or anything else. The meaning of non-duality truly is a single non-dual expanse in which everything is equal. And so in that equalness, someone and no one are equal. They're not two. That's the meaning of non-duality, not two. Someone and no one are not two. So to try to say there's either someone or no one is just to fixate on a point of view. Why trouble ourselves with additional philosophical concerns? Why not just get familiar with the way things are rather than to continue to strive and continue to try to make something into something when there's nothing there to be made into something. All the points of view within the pure view of all-encompassing awareness are equal in that they're all awareness, that no matter what the point of view is, it's never had a nature or an origin independent of awareness. But if we look at one of those points of view, for example, our own personal identity, most of us take our personal identity to be the collection of all our past points of view. That's what we think we are. We collect all our past points of view and say, this is who I am. So, well, that seems kind of silly then, doesn't it? When all the while there's just a completely relaxed reality that's the basis of everything and is completely undeniable. Now today we have so many metaphors, so many analogies, so many similes that we're creating all the time for this complete openness of points of view or information. And it's just like when we go on the internet. The internet, what it really is a collection of points of view. But those points of view, they're really just electronic information. They're just zeros and ones existing in an open field. But those zeros and ones are points of view too. But if we go on the internet and we go to one page on the internet and we dive into that one website and get all wrapped up in it. Has anyone ever done that? That's like taking ourselves to be something that's fixed and has an independent nature, when all the while all there is information within space or points of view within the open view of awareness. So when it comes to solving our own problems or our problems as a species or the problems we've created in the world, to try to collect different points of view to solve those problems is kind of a hapless task. It isn't really leading us anywhere. The problems are worsening. However, this perspective of the all-encompassing view doesn't need any kind of point of view in order to arrive at a solution to anything, whether it's a personal problem or a global problem. The all-encompassing view is the view of wisdom, and that view of wisdom can only be realized through complete relaxation. And that relaxation comes about in one of two ways, either through resting perception into openness for short moments, repeated many times in a completely uncontrived way until it becomes automatic, or continuing to hear about the nature of reality until conviction dawns. So either way, a process of complete relaxation takes place. But there isn't really ever a process, because relaxation already is the nature of everything, just as it is. Everything, no matter what it is completely relaxed. Even when we look at something that just seems so incomprehensible, like the planet Earth. The planet Earth is just completely at rest, doing its thing. It's not bothering anybody. It's just completely at rest, at ease, hanging in the cosmos, like a ripe fruit. But everything about us is just like that. There really isn't anything to understand. The natural ease of our being is super complete in itself. It's not anything we need to get, that we need to understand, that we need to study about, that we need to pursue a course of action in order to attain. It's already present. If we think that we need to pursue a course of action in order to attain it, then we'll be adding a whole lot of new points of view to our already accumulation of points of view about who we take ourselves to be. Who we've taken ourselves to be then has added to it a new angle. And we've had the accumulation of points of view of whatever we take ourselves to be, which is usually somebody who needs to be fixed in some way, who needs to be reformed, transformed, or whatever, and needs to undertake some kind of rigorous process to undo the badness at the core. So to undo this person who somehow fell out of everything. But nothing ever falls out of everything, and no one ever falls out of everything. Everything is just simply relaxed as it is. And there's no possibility whatsoever of anything or anyone ever existing elsewhere. So, just relax. That's the only message there is. And if you don't even want to relax, if you just hear about the nature of reality, and conviction will dawn. It's guaranteed. However, if you feel there's anything you need to change, any thought, any emotion, any experience, then it's going to be very difficult to relax. We learn things about ourselves and we accept them as true. So from the time we're born, we learn all kinds of points of view about who we are. And many of us just accept those as true. So we learn, most of us, that certain of our thoughts are good thoughts and other thoughts are bad thoughts or negative thoughts, and that certain of our emotions are good emotions and other emotions are negative emotions, and we learn that certain of our experiences are good and others are bad, and that we're supposed to try to get a lot of the good and build a Mount Everest of good thoughts, good emotions, good experiences. So many of us spend all of our lives like machines, like robots that are just piling up in some kind of factory-like assembly line, all these good points of view about ourselves, just hoping somehow we'll disassociate ourselves from the negative and end up being totally positive. Well, when it's described in that way, it sounds kind of silly, doesn't it? Because with that, there's never arriving anywhere. All the points of view, no matter what they are, they're just like information in an infinite field. They're completely unpredictable, and they're completely circumstantial. Whether it's the idea of being someone or being no one or whatever it is. Now, many times when we've trained ourselves to think that certain of our thoughts, emotions, and experiences are negative or bad, and that we need to get other kinds of experiences, thoughts, and emotions, it can be difficult to rest. We might have thoughts like, well, how am I going to know what's right and what's wrong if I don't decide on what's good and bad in my thinking and in my emotions? And that is one way to look at things, to look at the world in terms of good and evil. That's a certain world view. And it has a certain kind of wisdom that we could call conventional or ordinary wisdom. But if we really want to know the absolute true nature of reality, the knowing that is beyond all knowing, the learning that is beyond all learning, then we need to get acquainted with the wisdom that is at the basis of all appearances, whether we've judged them to be good or bad. All appearances, no matter what they are equal, and rearranging them into positive and negative won't create a positive world, or it also won't create well-being within us. It might kind of neutralize some things within us, but it will not result in consummate well-being. The consummate well-being that is the ease of being, that is the absolute essence of everything. So rather than continue to judge and analyze and stand over yourself like a taskmaster with a whip, just relax. There's never been anyone who's enslaved to any point of view. And it may seem that way, but it only seems that way. It isn't true. No matter what appears within you, say your thing is depression and you've been depressed all your life on and off, or maybe on all the time. And so you have this constant nagging point of view of depression. And whenever it comes up, you feel like you need to do something about it. Either avoid it somehow by doing whatever you do to avoid it, or replacing it with something else, replacing it with a lot of activity or something to get you out of the depression. Instead of using any of those antidotes, when the depression comes up, just rest without doing anything, without seeking anything, without describing anything about the state that appears. Once the story appears about the point of view, then we're off into elaboration and off into all kinds of points of view that support a certain kind of reality that can be labeled uncomfortable. Now, there are many fields of knowledge that describe all kinds of things, so when it comes to depression, that can be described in many ways. And today we have all kinds of books on philosophy, on psychology, and we can try to figure out why we're depressed and what the origin of it was. Our mother and father took our blankie away from us when we were 3 and we wanted to keep it till we were 5, or we sucked our thumb and then they put something bitter tasting on our thumb so we wouldn't suck it anymore, and we've been depressed ever since. So these are all conventional ways of exploring things. But you see, the thing about that is that all these fields of knowledge are always changing. They're never saying anything definitive about the nature of who we are. So what seems so advanced now, like psychoanalysis and things like that, 200 years ago it was unknown, and probably 15 years from now it'll be ridiculous. So what has no independent origin cannot last, no matter what it is and no matter how evolved it might be. So even though we have all these forms of communication today that are completely invisible and indivisible in a certain way, where we can communicate with each other all over the globe without ever seeing anybody. That would have been unthinkable just a few years ago, that there could be intimate relationships built without ever seeing anyone, and that there would be a real immediacy to that through constant communication, through some kind of invisible ground. But even beyond that ground, no matter how advanced it might be of current networking or what might come in the future with optics or whatever it is, beyond that, we're always already mutually enriching and communicating with everyone without any kind of material means whatsoever. So see, when we just relax, we can see a lot more about ourselves and the world we live in. We can see that even though we have these tremendous advances today, they're completely temporary. They're completely temporary. What just 15 years ago, what was considered, the epitome in the internet today is considered absurd. You know, it was nothing. It was just a simple beginning. It wasn't even a drop of water in the ocean. So this is how quickly things are changing. And in a way, we need to catch up with our power to materialize all these things, that we're really materializing all these things, but we don't really have a context for what we're materializing. Do you see what I mean? We're materializing just to materialize without any context for it, whereas when we're relaxed in the open spaciousness of wisdom, then wisdom is the context for everything that is materialized. So that's a very important distinction. Materialization for materialization's sake can just end up being pell-mell, helter-skelter, without having any meaning at all. It can just be really nihilistic in its beginning and in its end. So when we just relax into the wide open spaciousness that is the essence of our being, then we see something about ourselves that we've never known before. We've never known before. Most of us have never known that every single moment throughout night and day, we are resting in complete well-being and resting as complete well-being. But there's never a single moment we are apart from well-being. No matter what it is we're thinking, no matter what it is we're emoting, no matter what it is we're experiencing, we are never apart from well-being. However, if we take ourselves to be apart from well-being, we will be. So you see, the basic space of awareness is a treasury of wish-fulfilling gems. All the points of view are like wish-fulfilling gems. Whatever we take them to be, that's what they'll be. If we take them to be something concrete that we're going to hook up with, then like the hairdryer, we'll burn ourselves out in that point of view. And if we just relax, we'll realize that the actual space of that point of view is a basic space of total wisdom. The perception itself, the point of view itself, is a wisdom appearance. It's an appearance of absolute wisdom. However, if we don't see that, we don't see that. And the only way we can definitively know that is to just relax, to not continue to gorge on points of view. Gobble, 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 gobble. The wide open nature of everything is so clear. It's just absolutely clear. There's nothing whatsoever that's apart from infinite space. Nothing whatsoever that is apart from infinite space. And there's nothing whatsoever that isn't comprised of space. So see, no matter what we think of ourselves or anybody else, or what we think about our past identity or our future identity or our identity right now, it's all wide open and spacious. So just enjoy. Just enjoy. Enjoy the self-benefit that is at the basis of every single perception, every single point of view. And in that complete enjoyment body, which is your true body, that benefit is so profound that it can't help but overflow and benefit others. So see, all these things we try to do, we try to be good, and we try to have the right kinds of points of view and all of that, it's already here. It doesn't need to be cultivated or developed. It's already present. But we'll never find it if we're spending our whole life trying to rearrange points of view. It's like trying to put together a 10 trillion piece jigsaw puzzle. All those points of view, it'll just never happen. They're ceaseless, countless, unpredictable. There is no well-being separate or apart from these points of view, whatever they are. Absolutely none. So just relax. Like you said a lot, rest is best. Billboards everywhere, rest is best. You see, who we are, it's never been locked into any point of view whatsoever. It isn't the province of any kind of organization or category or institution or philosophy. The moment we take it up as a philosophy that's peculiar to a particular setting or right way of doing things, then we just have another point of view about what that is. But what we are has never been divided into anything. It isn't owned anywhere. Do you see what I'm saying? It's never been made into anything. Flawless, stainless space, forever, originally pure, has never gotten locked in anywhere. It's always wide open and free. So what that means for each of us is that in each perception, whatever it is, there's total freedom. And there's no freedom other than that. And that in that perception, either that freedom is recognized or it isn't. So there's no one to get out of the way. There's nothing to get out of the way. In the all-encompassing pure view of awareness, all points of view are equal. The personal identity, the personality, the ego, dog, cat, tree, they're all absolutely equal. There isn't a special kind of thing or point of view within the all-encompassing pure view of awareness that is a storehouse or hard drive of points of view associated with a particular individual. And that becomes more and more obvious. See, we can't understand that through putting it on the hamster wheel of intellect. You know, if we put it on the hamster wheel of intellect, we'll just be running around in a circle trying to figure it out. If we just allow the ease of our being to be as it is, it, like you said, when you stopped trying to understand, that was it. And you didn't even stop trying to understand, it just, boom. So now this is great, isn't it? 18 years old. And we're all very happy for you. Does anyone have a question they'd like to ask?
Unfortunately, I have not stopped understanding and still trying to understand. So, you said materialization of internet, for example, is under the light of wisdom. I'm substituting words, what you said, I don't recollect exactly. And without the wisdom. So it looks like you are distincting two things. The evolution taking place under the light of wisdom and without the light of wisdom. But I thought in non-duality, everything should be under the light of wisdom.
Everything is under the light of wisdom always. Yet if it isn't recognized, then there's only ordinary ways of looking at everything.
So the difference is in whether we recognize or not.
Because they're not two, the light of wisdom and no light of wisdom.
Right.
They're not two.
Yes.
They're really not two. But we as human beings, we have this amazing functionality, so to speak, within us. And that is that we can make this choice. We can make a choice to take ourselves to be somebody or not. We can make a choice to take ourselves to have a personal identity, or we can understand the true nature of reality. Isn't that amazing? And we don't even know have to know why that is or how it came about, or why try to figure any of that out from points of view. Why not just relax and allow the wisdom at the basis to inform everything, rather than continuing to run around from point of view to point of view within philosophy, saying, oh, it's because of this, or it's because of that, or whatever it is.
Another question which is not connected with this. Today I couldn't meditate as I do usually in the morning, and because your teachings kept coming in during the meditation hour. But without trying to stop the thoughts, what was done was to rest in awareness at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And there was no effort made to stop the thoughts. So thoughts were there, and parallelly in the background there was a rest in awareness. So the mind was there. We cannot say that during that time when the rest was there, but mind was also there.
Points of view.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes. Thoughts were coming, and awareness was aware that there are thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought the relaxation or resting in awareness means extinction of mind. Means mind should become thoughtless, should become extinct. But that was not the case. Mind was there, and at the same time the relaxation was there. So is there something wrong with the definition that relaxation means thoughtless state of mind?
Yes. A thoughtless state of mind is a point of view. Everything is forever stainless space. All thoughts are forever stainless space. So when you begin resting in awareness, what usually occurs for most people is that awareness and points of view seem like two different things. And we've heard all these things about the extinction of mind, the exhaustion of all phenomena, the cessation of ordinary reality. And so we interpret that through our dualist filters, and we say, oh, that means I'm not going to have any thoughts, and that's how I'll know I've made it. That means dead. No thoughts, that means dead. So, you see, we can get into all kinds of sublime states like no thought, but that is not wisdom. That is not complete freedom. That is not the essence of everything is complete ease. That's just a state. So all these subtle, refined states that are associated with spiritual seeking, like no thought, a completely non-conceptual state, bliss, emptiness, impartiality, neutrality, whatever it might be. All of these are just points of view. There's no need to take up a point of reference anywhere. the only freedom there is the freedom in the immediacy of perception. At the beginning, just because of the habit of dualist ways of looking at things, it seems like there's awareness and points of view, like a cat watching a mouse. But the more rest there is, the more they're inseparable. There just is awareness as the point of view. That's the only awareness there is. You see what I'm saying? Even if you're saying, well, I'm resting in awareness and here's the point of view, those are 2 points of view. Resting in awareness and a point of view.
That should merge into the awareness.
Yeah. So for many, in the beginning, it's like the cat watching a mouse, and then there's a subtle sense of awareness in all perception that comes about over time, and then that subtle awareness becomes blazing and it outshines points of view. Now that doesn't mean that points of view, that there are no thoughts or emotions or anything like that. It just means that they're completely non-distracting. And that is what the extinction of mind means. You see, mind is just a point of view too. There isn't something called a mind that contains a whole bunch of points of view. That's just another point of view. So an easy way to deal with the mind is just to realize the mind's another point of view. When thoughts about the mind come up, just rest.
And let the thoughts be there.
Oh yeah.
In the initial state.
To be non-distracted by them is the key point, right? And then the more you rest, even when you feel like you're in a certain point of view, like non-recognition of awareness or complete elaboration of thinking or whatever, more and more it'll be realized that all of it, no matter what it is awareness, the basic space of awareness and nothing else. There's no special way to be or special kind of corral to put thoughts in or emotions in.
I must acknowledge that the relaxation after this so-called meditation session was much more than the usual meditation I used to have. Today it was much more, although there was no meditation.
That's it right there. It's the non-meditation that is all pervasive. Just this complete ease that is the essence of everything. You have a good understanding. Just rest and know that all points of view are equal. Alan?
Is it okay to say that perception is resting?
Oh, absolutely. Everything is resting. Yeah, the awareness is the perception.
So this seems to take away the individual even more. If we say that, for me, if I say that perception is resting, it kind of clears away a lot of the...
Sure, exactly. All perceptions, no matter what they are completely at rest. There are only 4 things to do with points of view or perceptions, which are points of view and the word perception are synonymous. So indulge them, in other words, make a lifestyle out of them. 2, avoid them. 3, replace them with something else in order to make things better. All of those involve a personal identity doing something. The 4th is from flawless awareness, see all as flawless awareness until all is flawless awareness. So that's the only one that doesn't imply a doer. in that there's just complete rest, whether there's the perception of a doer or a non-doer. So this is the true meaning of non-duality, that the doer and non-doer are not two. Someone and no one, not two. Perception and non-perception, not two. Recognition of awareness and non-recognition of awareness, not two.
We've been told that we need to have a 100% commitment for resting and resting in awareness and recognition of the point of view as a point of view. But when we see that we lack that commitment, 100% commitment, is it that the more we rest, it is that commitment also progressively commitment becomes more and more, or has it got anything else to do with that?
Another word we could use for commitment in this case is enthusiasm. We really have to have enthusiasm for the true nature of our being, the ease of our being. We really need to have enthusiasm.
But when we find that we don't have that 100% enthusiasm, just going totally headlong into that, what I mean to say is a total commitment to the rest and recognition of the point of view as a point of view in resting in awareness, recognition of the point of view as just a point of view only, which is not separate from the awareness. That recognition, when that commitment, when we find that it is lacking, that 100% commitment is lacking in ourselves. So, what next? That means when we keep resting, that also progressively goes forward. That becomes more and more the commitment, or the commitment is something we fundamentally need to have to rest.
First comes the introduction to the true nature of our being. So the introduction to rest and resting as awareness. And only when we know what that is can we make a commitment to it. If we just make a partial commitment to it, then some of the time we'll be resting and the rest of the time we'll be applying antidotes to all of our points of view. If we make a 100% commitment, then confidence develops, indwelling confidence. And with that confidence, certainty comes about. Now, if commitment wanes and we decide that we're going to elaborate on our points of view and make a story out of them, or try some methods or practices to kind of make things better, then we simply need to make a decision how we want to live. It's as simple as that. And if we really do want to rest in awareness, then we need to have support for that. If our commitment wanes, then we need to rely on the four comforts of the Great Freedom Teaching. Resting as awareness, the teacher, the teaching, and the community. If we have friends who are living the same way we are, it makes it a lot easier. And so in the Great Freedom Community, it's made very easy because we have 24/7 support worldwide that's available. Now, what you describe is something that occurs for many people. Sometimes the commitment wanes. And that's just what it is, how it is in life. We're always committed to something. We're either committed to all our points of view or to resting in awareness. There's never a moment without enthusiasm and commitment. Even if we're terribly depressed, we're committed. You know, the word enthusiasm, its root is in God, or another way to say that would be in rest. So that all enthusiasm means is to be in the essence of our being, just to allow that essence of our being to be the case. That's what enthusiasm is. For many of us, we've had enthusiasm about all kinds of things in our life. We see something new, we have great enthusiasm for it. We hope that this is going to solve all our problems and make life all better. We get that new self-help book or new philosophy book, and then we read it, and while we're reading it, we say, oh, I know this is it. This is it. I'm going to feel this way forever. I feel so free reading this book. And then we finish it, and we might feel really good for a couple days, and then we're looking for another book. So the natural ease of everything doesn't require any books. Now, if you are really interested in resting naturally for short moments repeated many times, and you're surrounded with people who are telling you that you're doing it the wrong thing or you're doing it the wrong way, that might be the case for some people here. That's a good opportunity to rest. Now, you know, one of the incredible things about the holy, positive, basic space of everything is that whatever any beings want or need, that's what will appear for them. So there's nothing that's right or wrong in that sense. There are all these different kinds of practices and methods and ways of being, and whatever they are, they are. They're a perfect emanation for whoever is participating in them. So it doesn't mean that resting naturally is right and other things are wrong, or that other things are right and resting naturally is wrong. The correct understanding and the attitude of wholesome goodness, which is a totally balanced view, is that everything is perfect all at once, just as it is. And if you are drawn to resting naturally in the ease of your being, then that's right for you. You know, and if you're not, then it isn't. Many people live all of their lives without ever even knowing about this, ever. So just to know about it is incredible. Who we are isn't some remote possibility. We are aware of being because we already are who we are. Without being aware, we wouldn't be aware of being naturally present. So who we are is already naturally present as that awareness. It doesn't take getting to a destination. who we are is immediately accessible. Its immediacy cannot be overlooked. It's just like saying, oh, you know, in order to get into space, my hand to get into space, I have to raise it up here, but my hand's already in space. And my hand already is comprised of space, so there's nowhere to get to.
I've been trying to look at your word of perception and understand it as maybe in an old term, redefining belief systems and dissolving the belief systems into the bigger perception of universal awareness. And my question around this is, in the process of refining perceptions, and we are not to be distracted by the mind, the thoughts, getting carried away with the thoughts in the mind. Is it a process of, when you say resting, as these thoughts come up, in the resting process, the beginning stages of this would be to just watch. Here's one, ooh, a belief system, or boom, and let it go. Or what, I know I'm not supposed to be doing anything with them, but it's new. How do they dissolve in a natural way in the resting, with my mind not going over and over and over? Am I making myself clear?
Sure, Rest for short moments repeated many times until it becomes automatic. And all of the perceptions, whatever they may be, will just resolve in that ground. It's so completely easy. You don't need to examine them in any way or identify a watcher or a witness. Everything is awareness. So there's no awareness and then something else. When you just rest in the ease of your being, natural awareness, ever-present awareness, it becomes more obvious that everything is that, rather than there being a subject, you, with all of its objects, the thoughts and emotions. Now, dissolving belief systems and assumptions, everyone talks about that. However, that is not a mental process. So it can't be approached in that way. It can't be approached by identifying someone who has belief systems and assumptions. In awareness, the someone and the belief system, they're both points of view.
Is there any space, room for religion in what I hear now?
Pardon?
Was there, how can I am religious, I'm Jewish, and I'm just trying a little bit to find what I hear now and just put it a little bit, I don't know, I mean, it's just, so is there room for religion, for belief, for actually having practical, I'm practically committing things in my religion. I'm just trying to understand.
Would you like to say something, Sean? Multitasking.
Okay, I met Odea yesterday and I actually told her to come, so I didn't know you were religious. I think that resting naturally doesn't say that now you don't have to be religious or you don't need to be a Jew. It's not about that. It's just about knowing who you really are, and from that point you can be whatever you want to be. So I could put on a I could choose to stay completely like a Jew or an Israeli. In the same time, I have this freedom of not saying I am a Jew like in this sense, like I'm a Jew and you're not, so now we need to fight. No, I know the common trueness about me and you and all the rest, and from that point I have a lot of respect, I have a lot of love and compassion to all of, and then I can just stay whatever I am. So it's not about taking another point of view and fighting with another point of view. It's the ease of this freedom, and from that point it's very easy to be whatever you want to be. Yeah. You okay?
Would you like to say?
I think that for me, it's
Anna.
for me, it's not about the Jewish issue. It's more about the Vipassana Vipassana meditative image, but it's the same. It's kind of role, kind of heavy duty that I used to take, and I'm still a little take from time to time. And yeah, when I recognize my true nature, I'm free to be to be everything and nothing.
Was your question answered?
I have to see. It's a process. I think I'll understand this with time.
Mm-hmm. You like being Jewish?
Yeah, I hate being religious.
Pardon?
I hate being religious.
You hate being religious. Oh, you hate being religious. Uh-huh. Well.
Yeah.
Just resting with all those points of view that come up. Everything that you hate about being religious, everything you like about being religious, if there is anything. No matter what it is, just keep resting in awareness, because see, awareness is the root of all those thoughts and emotions, no matter what they are. So to understand them and have a balanced view requires resting in awareness, which is the all-encompassing balanced view. It doesn't mean you need to adopt any extreme. It's just like Shah was saying, that in this openness of being that is at the basis of everything, there's complete freedom. If one wants to be religious, they can be. But in being religious, the true meaning of that is understood. It's just like the epitome of all religions, no matter what they are, is absolute freedom and unity of everything. Whether it's Judaism or Buddhism or whatever it is. Within all religions, there's an epitome teaching that says everything is equal.
Just like to add that before the 12 inquiries, I had big issues with Judaism. My sister became religious, fanatically religious, and the other sister became religious. And I used to have so many issues with that because she couldn't even go to my house because I had the New Testimony. So she said, that's not a house, and your father is sick because of that, and all that story. And after the 12 inquiries, I'm so in peace with Judaism that I'm in peace with my sister. And we're having these beautiful emails about religion and about resting and this beautiful dialogues, and we're just loving it so nice. And in Goa, I was sitting for 3 weeks in the Jewish house, having beautiful conversation with the rabbi. And if that would happen a year ago, I would just go like, you fanatic, crazy people. And now it's just great. So by knowing who you really are, you're in peace with yourself, and then you're just with peace with everything, including all the stories and points of view that you thought they're your worst enemies, or at least you're not your friends. So yeah, just wanted to add that from a personal point of view.